Hey bestie, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Plobcast, this week's Monday episode of the Plobcast. If you missed the video that I posted on TikTok, just to update everybody, starting from this week on, because I did get some messages about last week, so every Monday will be a regular independent episode. I will only be posting the interviews on Thursdays from now on. I did get a few messages of people being like, hey, so I like the interview, but when's your next regular message? Because last week I wasn't able to get a regular podcast episode out. So from now on, interviews will only be posted on Thursdays, and on Mondays, I will have the regular episodes out. Before we get in, just a quick reminder that this is 18 plus, not for little ears. I don't know how many times I gotta say that, but I at least every couple of weeks get one message of somebody being like, hey, I discovered your Plobcast, and then I listen to it around my children, and now they're traumatized. And I'm like, I say at the beginning of every episode it's 18 plus for a reason. Please listen. I'm not just saying that to be funny. I'm not saying it just because I cuss a lot. There's a lot of disturbing follower submissions and plob stuff that we see on here. Speaking of parents and 18 plus and parents not listening, I actually have the event that I'm going to be working this weekend, where I'm going to be hosting to, I've got all these Google Slides. I end up using Google Slides instead of PowerPoint, because PowerPoint is always a pain in the butt and Google Slides does the same thing. But I had to change them this year because I have actually worked this event multiple times, multiple years. And we had our own little incident with 18 plus not being listened to. So we had 2 years in a row where there was not enough volunteers. So if you have never been to an event, a convention, or anything that has sectioned off panels, sectioned off classes, or anything like that, there are 18 plus events. They typically have them in the afternoon, evening time, but they will have events where it's supposed to be 18 plus for those classes, for those panels, for whatever it is they're teaching or covering. And I had two years in a row where I had a daytime panel and then a nighttime panel. In the evening time, that was 18 plus, and it was telling after dark stories. We show pictures of different funny things that happened, and it's just different plob experiences we had, or just wild experiences within fandom that we have, and we'd have pictures and videos of some of this stuff. And 2 years in a row. Now, the first year, that was actually not, we were going over finding like fan fiction and stuff, so it was a little bit dirtier, which also had pictures. And so I'd have my PowerPoint up, and 2 years in a row, because they did not have enough volunteers for the evening time, they would not have somebody standing outside of the door. And this is a very small event, so I'm thinking, okay, it's not gonna, I can handle this, right? First year, the issue we came across is people kept wide opening both doors. So we would have like minors and stuff walking by and trying to look, so I'd just take down the PowerPoint, even though we're like, oh, just keep going, we'll keep closing the door. But then it kept getting open, and I'm like, I'm not risking it. You might be an irresponsible parent enough to like let your child look at something like that. I'm not. We then had the second year that I ended up having an issue, because I've worked this event 6 times, and these are the only 2 times I've done an 18 plus event. And the second panel, their second year that we had this issue, I was going over the After Dark stories. I had this entire PowerPoint of different videos and pictures and stuff from like all these crazy plob experiences, all these like weird, bizarre shit that had happened after hours, hotel parties, things like that people had sent in or I'd experienced or seen myself. To be clear, I was not participating in the plob cringy, weird, unbathed orgy shit. I just witnessed it, and once again, I'd had people send me in pictures and videos of different things. And one of them, some of the stuff might not be too graphic. For example, one of them was like, somebody sent in a picture where their roommate had gotten so drunk the night before he'd shit all over the bed, and they had a picture of the shit all over the bed. But still, the graphic details and stuff, I didn't want children to be in the room for this. And this woman comes in with her, like, somewhere between the age of 10 and 12, this kid, and I explained to her, hey, it's 18 plus, I know they don't have anybody checking IDs at the door, but we are asking. And she was so fucking insistent. She was like, no, my daughter's not paying attention, she's not gonna pay attention, she's gonna be in her phone. She would literally laugh when I would say stuff, so I had to compromise that entire thing. I turned off my PowerPoint. I luckily had somebody I knew from online, a mutual from online, came into the panel, and I basically just pretended like I was having a conversation with her, and we were censoring everything, because this girl was 100% paying attention, and no matter how many times we asked the parent, hey, please, she cannot be in here, the parent refused to leave, and was like, no, she's just going to stay here. And then people wonder how these kids end up so fucking messed up. Oh my gosh. So many people had told me too when this happened. They were like, oh, I would have just continued. Like, that's the parent's fault. That's the parent's fault. Just continue. Don't stop your panel, because I don't have it in me to do that. I mean, once again, just because somebody else is a shitty parent does not mean I'm willing to sacrifice my morals to continue with that because they won't take their kid out of the room. Like, then there's a lot of people, though, that would have. There's a lot of people that would have been like, nope, show's still going on. It's your fault that you're traumatizing your kid, and kept going. But I just didn't have it in me to do that. Oh, just a real quick reminder before I forget this, because I will forget if I don't mention it. Now, I do have an interview for Thursday. I've already done. It will be scheduled to release on Thursday because I do leave on Wednesday. But it'll be scheduled to release on Thursday. I'll get it all edited in time. And it is on Plobs and Fuckboys. So Charles is a content creator that he goes by Fuckman, and he talks about fuckboy behavior and getting out of it. And there's a lot of plobs that fall down that, and basically trying to prevent people. So while I talk about incels and their behaviors during and like their what they think after and how they escape and stuff, he tries to prevent them from falling down the incel pipeline in the first place. So there's dating tips, but there's also talking about the problems with that. So if you're interested in that, that will be out on Thursday. Now let's get back to the Plob stories, particularly for the event that I'm going to this weekend, because that is not the only crazy thing that has happened at this particular event. This is everyone's reminder that when you go to these events, I don't know what it is about small ones. They seem to bring out the craziest of crazies. And I love my home state. I love getting to go back and visit people. But this is the only event that I will not stay around after I'm done in the evening time. Because the few times I've stayed around, it has been Plob, backwoods, I don't even know what central. Because it's also the only big, I mean, they do now have like another small one. I apologize if you hear the dinosaur noise in the background. I think my son's toy is possessed because it keeps going off randomly without even touching it. Like, it'll just be sitting there and it'll just start going off. Anyways, once again, for some reason, the worst, so I understand that there is now like another small event, but like that was the main event for the entire state. It wasn't like here in Texas where we have 1, 2, 3 a month. It was like the only one for the whole state. So people would come out of the woodworks. And it was the side of fandom that, it's always the side of fandom that gives fandom space, gaming, anime, cosplay, all of it a bad name, that comes out and has a conversation with you. There has been multiple, oh my gosh, there was one that is so burnt into my brain that I get afraid to cosplay from certain fandoms at these events, or even bring up that I am a fan of certain fandoms. There was a point where it's pretty normal for people to have a drink or something at the evening parties and stuff. But there was one point first of all, their evening parties is like going to a middle school dance. It's super awkward. But there was one point we had went, and I had, my back was on fire from the drive. My spinal issue was bad. I was like struggling even with my walker. So I go to the dispensary, get a little gummy, and I take it, and I have somebody with me. I will never, go out even drunk or anything like that. I will never do that without somebody sober with me, right? And we go to walk in, and this couple that's dressed as from the same fandom as me starts trying to live action sex role play with me. Some of you guys have heard the details of the story because I covered it on another Plobcast episode. But yeah, that's the con that this happened at, where they tried to, like, not consensually, just walked up, and because I was dressed as a character they liked, it was a whole thing, and then they like got into an argument, and it was weird. I don't even know if it was argument or foreplay or what the fuck was happening. I just know we were standing in this public space, and I didn't know what to do because I was a little out of it. And like, my friend was not sure because she was like, I don't know what the fuck to do either. Like, what the hell? But it's not just that. You will constantly at this place see, and it's not, the crazy part is you will meet some of the nicest, sweetest people there, but you will also see the Discord kitten motherfuckers. There are men plobs who they look like the World of Warcraft guy from, from South Park. So that's what I was trying to think of. South Park World of Warcraft episode. Or secondly, I think it's like a movie for the World of Warcraft. Either way, like, I think the South Park episodes with that's technically a movie. But you all know what it looks like. We all know what the neckbeard incel guy looks like. Those guys who live with their mother at 40, goon to underage anime figure characters and stuff. Super inappropriate. They will meet their Discord kittens, and they are this con does not have hygiene rules, and it drives me nuts because it's one of the only conventions that does not have hygiene rules. And well, technically they did implement them after enough backlash a couple years ago, but the problem is people still don't really follow it. These are the guys, this is the one time of the year they leave the house. Like, these guys legitimately do not leave the house any other time of the year except for this event. And they will go into the game room, and you can smell the game room from outside of the doors. It's why I don't get to ever go to the game room. It sucks because at least at MomoCon they do, I mean, sometimes you definitely smell some stuff, right? Over in the card game section, because MomoCon is split. They will have like the card games, tabletops, all of that stuff in one section. They have actual video games in another. And yeah, there's sometimes some smelly guys, but like it's nowhere near as bad. They're pretty good about their hygiene stuff. And you can actually enjoy the arcade games. You cannot do that at this convention because those guys will come out of their mommy's basements the one day a year, well, the one weekend a year, and then they spend the entire con in there, or they go in the vendor's hall. That's another thing. I have seen 2 separate altercations with these guys and vendors because these guys will come and they will want these little girl anime figure, you know, the not safe for work, little like underage, like Eri from freaking My Hero Academia stuff type figures. And the con's like, hey, so we're not selling child porn figures to you. That little girl is 5 and you want an adult figure of her. And they'll get upset because they'll be like, I've been saving up. I want this figure. I saw blah, blah, blah. Why don't you have these things? And 2 separate times I've seen them get into arguments. And it was 2 separate years too with 2 separate guys. It wasn't like the same guy arguing again. It was 2 separate men. Don't get me wrong. They both looked like they were going to wear fedoras and say milady at me. But like, same difference. 2 different men, 2 different years, same argument. There was a third situation I got to watch a few years back. And this was not me like involved with actually going to the con for... This was me, just a regular person, right? I wasn't doing any panels or anything. This was me just going a regular person. I remember going, and we were in the vendor hall, and we were looking through these little comics. They're called doujin, and they're basically fanfic comics, and they can have some yaoi. And if you don't know what yaoi is, it is, you know, it's funny because TikTok's currently doing this thing where it's like, would you rather have a Look Maxer son or a yaoi daughter? And it's like, people are like, so a regular teenage girl, because a lot of teenage girls go through that phase. Even if it's not yaoi, it's like to K-pop idols or something, you know? And we were looking through these, and there was a man who was looking through them and threw a giant fit because they didn't have any incestual ones. These are not always yaoi. Sometimes they're straight couples, sometimes they're lesbians, yuri, you know, whatever. But there was a guy who was like, there's no brother-sister ones. Like, there's all these brother-sister ones in Japan. Why the fuck don't you have any of these brother-sister ones? Blah, blah, blah. Like, was throwing a fit. Which, of course, it's West Virginia. I literally have a cousin who married his... I have an ex who married his cousin. My family is not inbreeding, I swear to God. I have an ex who married his biological cousin. So, like, the whole there's also several documentaries on the inbreeding in West Virginia. I'm so glad that my family's not originally from there. It was because of a fucking air traffic control job that ended up getting my family sent there because of my grandfather, but not the point. The point is, it is very much an issue. I will never forget working at Wendy's as a teenager, and they would have and it was over, there was one day I was working over by, like, it was like, oh gosh, I was over by the Boulevard or something. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it wasn't far from the Capitol was the point. And they had like it was like a folk festival they were doing, and we had people who came out that looked like the wrong turn, and they were ordering from Wendy's, and you couldn't understand half of them, and you feel bad, and that's not to make fun of them. It is a serious issue. The inbreeding is a real serious issue. It is really sad. But the fact that you will see people who are like healthy and have managed to not have all these genetic issues that you see the people in severe inbreeding, then go to a convention and scream about how they can't find incestual comics to look at, and you're like, hi, so we're trying to end this issue? Like, we're trying to stop it with the next generations, not promote it, please. Like, buddy, I could do an entire episode on all this fucked up shit that goes on in my home state, and there's also some of the most amazing human beings you will ever meet there. But then there's also some of the most traumatized that, like, we have documentaries on us for a reason. I mean, it's West Virginia, it's not me. I do not personally have any documentaries on me, thank God. Once again, all of my family moved there because of a job, like, from before I was born, because my grandfather had gotten this job there. That's why. I mean, hell, the fact that Chris Chan's cousin Danny is there. God, you know, it's worse as I complain about West Virginia, but then I think about, like, if I had grown up in Virginia with the rest of my family, I would have had to grown up in the same town as Chris Chan, and that would have been worse than dealing with Chris Chan's cousin. So, like, at least I got one of the lesser of two evils. It's one of those things that I miss the people there, but I will never miss the place. I do want to circle back to the 18 plus thing, though, where with people not listening, this is just a quick reminder that the Jurassic Park books are a lot more graphic and gruesome, like the comics and stuff too, than the movies. With that new Jurassic Park movie that came out a few months ago, which I took my son to, he loves Jurassic Park. Don't worry, the dinosaurs don't scare him. That little motherfucker be like, oh yeah, get him dinosaur. He be rooting for the dinosaurs over the humans. It's a little concerning. And he's like it's so funny because he's the sweetest, most caring child. He's always comforting other kids when they're upset. He's super loving. He doesn't want anybody to leave without getting a hug. Like, he's so sweet. But then dinosaurs come in and he's like, okay, bitch, picking the dinosaur over everybody else. But the reason I pre-screen that is, I always pre-screen everything he watches anyways. But and don't worry, there's certain parts we did skip over for him. Not like VidAngel skipped over. Like, because I know, gosh, if you've never had to experience VidAngel, you were so lucky, because there are some movies VidAngel will cut out like 90. A 2-hour movie will suddenly be 15 minutes, and it's like, oh. But I will say, I have seen a lot of parents who are like, oh, my kids are fine with Jurassic Park. I want to get them the books or the comics, and they have never read them. So this is a quick reminder, because they're like, oh, well, Jurassic Park's rated R, but it's not that bad. Like, they don't have anything dirty or nothing in it, so it's fine. Buddy, please, for the love of God, pre-read Jurassic Park books or comics before you let your child have it. There's a scene, just a little example without having to like do any spoilers. There's a scene where raptors basically break into this house. They escape. They end up getting in this house, and they absolutely tear apart infants, and they go into great detail of it. Like, these parents are in the other room asleep, and yeah, tear apart. It's graphic and bloody in detail, and like how they're eating it and everything. In the first movie, there is just the first movie alone, Jurassic Park, that scene where she like has the arm on him. Like, I feel like that's not a spoiler because Jurassic Park's been out forever, but like the arm falls on her. In the books, they actually go into detail on how he meets his demise, and they do not spare a single detail. So just please keep that in mind. I just keep seeing all these people being like, oh, we love Jurassic, and now there was apparently a book set that went on sale, why people were interested, and suddenly being like, oh, we'll get the book set of our kids. Please pre-read that shit. I mean, I guess if it was like a 16 or 17-year-old, it's probably fine, but like, not children. Those books are way more graphic. It's kind of like the movie It. If you've seen It, you know, and you've read the Stephen King book, you know that It isn't so bad for like a preteen to watch or like a scary movie night, but the book is a whole nother situation. Without spoilers, once again, just a quick little snippet of the difference in the book. In the book, there's a child orgy. In the book, there's a fucking child orgy. I'm not even joking you. So just another reminder, people, please deep dive these things. Please, I know it sucks to like have to sit there and pre-read everything your kid, pre-watch and all that stuff, but it's worth it. It's worth it, because that like couple hours you're gonna have to spend doing that is a lot better than the fucking therapy bill your kid's gonna give you for the trauma you're gonna cause by letting them read and watch some of the stuff just because the movie was fine. Let's get back to the plobs and flobs. Speaking of flobs, sorry for that little long PSA. I just like to, because people don't take it seriously. Like I said, I've had so many experiences like where people just really don't take the 18 plus thing seriously, and I'm like, oh buddy, I promise I'm not saying it for no reason. But back to the submissions we had this week. So there is actually a TikTok creator that was submitted to me as a flob, a female flob, and holy shit, y'all weren't kidding. I have been deep diving this woman because of this. I'm like, oh gosh, it's not Nova Online. This is the weird thing, is she does a lot of stuff that people like Nova Online, Christian, like the cringy, gross, nasty stuff, but she is conventionally attractive. So people are like, oh, it's fine, it's not that big of a deal. And I'm like, dude, y'all have dogged on Nova Online for doing the exact same thing. Like, buddy, just because she's conventionally attractive does not mean this nasty, stinky behavior is okay. So there is a woman named Lila Gibney. She apparently moved to LA, decided to try to make it as an influencer. I haven't checked her Instagram. I really don't use Instagram, but she has less followers than me on TikTok, so I was a little confused to why she moved to freaking LA, because I'm like, girl, I know for a fact we ain't get paid no money, LA money. Of course, we all know what happens with the LA stuff and what is. Apparently, she does some spicy content, so that's probably where she's making all that money from, to be able to afford to live. And that's no judgment. I've got an OF for my Dami page. I'm not judging at all. I'm judging the behavior that she decided to portray while out with friends. So it wasn't just the typical snobby behavior. So yes, there was a lot of snobby stuff. There has been so many people who are coming forward. I deep dived for hours. Insomnia the other night, and I was just watching person after person who's met her and like showing pictures and everything, where she did the whole, oh, well, I know this person, so I'm going to get you a free this, or we're getting a discount because of me, and blah, blah, blah. Realistically, there's no way these places were actually giving her discounts, but whatever you want to say. Here's where the flop stuff comes in. Apparently, she not only was just not bathing, apparently. There was like 4 different people who were like, yeah, so we hang out with her and she won't fucking bathe. She only bathes like right before a photo shoot or something. But also, she has been pissing in seats in public places. Not because she has a medical disorder, but I guess she feels she is too good to have to get up and clean up, and she thinks it's hilarious that minimum wage regular workers are having to clean up her piss. So there was one guy who had posted he had went to a movie theater with her. They go to watch a movie, and she decides to just sit there and piss in the seat. And he's like, girl, are you good? And she's like, oh yeah, I just don't feel like getting up, and it's their job anyways to clean up. No, ma'am, it's not. It is not that minimum wage theater worker's job to clean up your piss because you didn't want to have to get up. This isn't a medical problem. This wasn't an accident. You purposely pissed in your seat. Apparently, she did this at a concert, too. She didn't want to have to get up from the concert seat to go somewhere, to go to the bathroom, so she also pissed. But there was another creator who was talking about, she pissed in the seat. This is apparently a regular occurrence of hers. If she is out somewhere, she feels that she is too good to get up and go to the bathroom, so she just pisses in seats and leaves it there, and is just like, okay, well, the worker can clean it up, and keep saying that it's the worker's job. I'm sorry, but if I had a friend do some shit like that, and this is not me dogging on the friends who are coming forward about her, but if I had some friends do some stuff like that, I would never hang out with them again. Hell no. I don't know what level of entitlement that is, and I see a lot of discourse this week of people talking about influencers versus creators, and I've covered this before. Influencers and creators are not the same thing. I 100% agree with the whole influencers getting paid too much. It is very real. It's where all this entitlement comes from, because when you have somebody, so an influencer is the person who gets paid to do the same basic bullshit that anybody can do, except for they have a nice aesthetic or they're conventionally attractive, and they get paid to exist. Content creators are the ones that actually put the work in. We're talking places like Bistro Huddy, Mookie, people that actually make videos like either skits for entertainment, they tell story times, some of them will teach you how to cook, some of them will teach you different things about life tips. There's like dad accounts that'll teach you different skills. There's comedians. Content creators and influencers are not the same thing, and the problem with influencers isn't just the fact they're getting paid to exist, and they often make more money than a content creator, especially when you add up like how much content creators have to put in for all their different stuff. But influencers also get an ego. They get the J-Lo ego, because and it's not me trying to shit on J-Lo, but if you've ever seen, like, J-Lo apparently has a massive ego. There's so many people have exposed how like cocky and arrogant she acts and stuck up. But there's a lot of influencers who have that same thing, because they've spent their entire life, they were the popular kids, and then instead of having to get a real job, they get paid to exist, to just look hot. They just take pictures and stuff. Like, their hardest thing is scheduling their surgeries and stuff, because their meal ticket is to look attractive. That is their whole skill. And I'm not saying attractive people can't have skills. There are influencers who are, content creators who are traditionally attractive or conventionally attractive, and they actually teach you something or perform comedy or something. That's what's the difference in a content creator and an influencer. But that's where that pay issue comes in, is they get this ego where they're thinking, oh, well, I'm too good to even use the toilet. I'm just going to piss myself and some minimum wage loser can clean it up. And they're not the only ones. She is not the only one. I have heard so many horror stories from going to content creator events and talking to content creators who are, have been in the scene with influencers, and talk about how the entitlement is bad, and they are so gross and nasty, where a lot of them have decided, okay, well, I'm getting paid to exist, so they get this massive ego, and they just make it everybody else's problem. There's been hotel workers who've posted pictures of, like, after an influence came, of shit in the bed. Like, literal shit in the bed, period stains all over the bed. And I don't mean like, oh, somebody had an accident. Like, somebody's decided, oh, this isn't my problem. I'm going to free bleed all over this hotel bed. Because once again, accidents happen. That's not a big deal. It's natural. Shit happens. I mean, not shit literally. We're talking about people who do not have a medical reason. It's not an accident. They will purposely do this shit. There's also several hotel workers who have pointed out how the shower will not be touched the entire time. Like, these influencers will stay for days and they will not touch the fucking shower. They'll be like, yeah, so the little tabs and stuff I put on there, yeah, it's in the exact same place. They will trash rooms and be like, oh, well, it's housekeeping's job to do it. There was a hotel worker who even posted it one time where she had came in and there was a pile of shit in the floor next to the bathroom door. Instead of like going to the bathroom, and she had asked the influencer about it, and she's like, oh, well, it was just a dare for my friend because we were drunk. So you shit in the floor on a dare while drunk. You didn't even try to clean it up yourself. You just figured, oh, well, it's a housekeeper's job. That's disgusting. That is fucking nasty. Another thing before I forget, I do want to apologize if the quality of the videos that I post from this weekend are not the best. I've had a couple people comment, they're like, is something wrong with your phone? Did you get an Android or something? No, I have the 14 Pro Max. It is dying out ever since the 17 came out. I ordered the 17 Pro Max. It was on back order, and they promised me it was going to be here at the 7th at the latest. It hasn't even shipped at the time of me recording this for the 6th. Like, I purposely got the blue with the extended memory, even though I really thought the other color was cuter, but I had no choice because I was like, oh, the other one's even weeks and weeks are out. So I apologize that the quality of my videos have kind of been crap. It is literally going. Like, and you guys know Apple's been sued for a reason for this kind of crap with, you know, making old phones not work as good as soon as the 17 like as soon as they keep getting upgraded. And every single upgrade, it's made the phone worse. But the upgrades have just been crap. And I finally was like, okay, well, I guess I have to get the 17. And then it just hasn't arrived still. They said it was going to be here by the 7th. It said the 2nd to the 7th was my estimated delivery. And that 7th was going to be the absolute latest, but it hasn't even shipped. So I do apologize. There's no way it's going to be able to get here before my trip. I have a friend that has a 16 though, so I'm going to try to live stream from her 16 while we're doing these panels. And also, I just want to be clear, that's not me shitting on Android or anything. I actually loved my Android. I originally got the OG iPhone when it first came out, when you can only get it with AT&T and all that crap. But then it just wasn't that good when other smartphones started coming out. I remember having the PlayStation phone and stuff. The Beats phone. I loved having all these Androids. They were great. I had the LG, like the dual screen where it like folds and stuff. Not the flip phone, but the like folds like a book. I had so many cool phones. And then when I started getting into like actually taking content creation a little bit seriously so I could raise money for the domestic violence shelter a few years ago, I learned a little creator secret. And that is Apple. The reason why an Apple phone or a Google phone will have, a Google or an Android, whatever, will have amazing picture quality when you take pictures off its camera, and it doesn't have the greatest with apps, is because discrimination. Apple has contracts. Apple has contracts with majority of these social media apps, and not only, and my friend, I thought this was like a myth until my friend who's a software engineer that works on algorithms lets me know, hey, this is real. If your video is being uploaded from an Apple device, it literally is pushed out into algorithms more. That's why a lot of us that make content have no choice but to have Apple. So I've had Apple for a while now. I usually upgrade every year, but then the 15 and the 16 were shit. But now I'm forced to have the 17. So I just want to be clear, that's not me telling people, oh, you need to go get the 17. I don't want to seem like I'm promoting that and being like, oh, you have to get the 17 because it's all good, blah, blah, blah. No, if you're not doing content creation, go get that cute-ass Android with all the cool fucking features, with the flip phones and all that stuff. Y'all are lucky. Y'all have such amazing phones. And I'm over here stuck with freaking crapple. I was just worried that me talking about the 17 would make people think, oh, like, you should go get the 17 or you should switch to Apple. No, if you're not making content, you don't need Apple. Androids have so much cool shit. Now, I've made it very clear that I don't believe in the whole black pilling thing with oh, your genetics decide if you'll be successful. And, yes, pretty privilege is a thing, but, ugly people can still be smart and successful, and doesn't mean you're going to be a complete failure, and there's no point in life. And that's kind of how incels look at blackpilling. They think, oh, well, there's no point and all this stuff if you're not traditionally or conventionally attractive, whatever. But pretty privilege is also becoming a problem. If we have gotten to the point where if you have pretty privilege, you get a pass on pissing and shitting on stuff in public because you don't want to get up to use the bathroom. That's insane. Because once again, the stuff that she's doing in these story times that are being posted by her former friends that have, hang around her, know her, the stuff that she's putting out are things that if it was someone like Nova Online, Chris Chan, Jupiter, somebody was doing this stuff, there would be outrage. She would not be still making money and stuff. It's disgusting. There's a lot of them that do it. There's, unfortunately, like I said, a lot of them that do it. I don't care if you were the hottest human on the face of the planet. If you piss and shit all over stuff because you don't want to have to get up because you feel like you don't have to, and that the loser minimum wage workers are just going to clean it up for you, you're a fucking asshole. Like, there was a female plob that I was following at one point, and I messaged my friend, and I was like, or my mutual. We weren't like close friends or anything. And I said, hey, just a heads up, I'm following this person because I'm going to be doing a female plob segment on them, and a lot of these flobs and plobs will post delete, so I want to make sure I'm updated. So if you see me like following somebody problematic like that's a stinky plob that's gross and doing bad stuff in fandom and being inappropriate and stuff, that's why you're seeing me follow them. And I remember messaging her in video, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the person I'm going on next. I'm going to be doing the next one on. This is why I'm following her. And this person messages me back, and they were like, well, how is she a flob? And I'm like, are we looking at the same video of her? Like, are we looking at the same video of her talking about underage little boys being hot and her literally having gross stains on her mattress that doesn't have a sheet on it, and it's bodily fluid looking stains and stuff? And she's like, yeah, but she's attractive. She's pretty. Okay, her being pretty does not change the fact she's a predator, for one thing, or change the fact that she's disgusting and doing these nasty things by choice. Once again, there's a difference in people who have medical conditions and genuine, circumstances that make it so that they have to have stuff like that. These are people making these choices. I swear, some of these rabbit holes that people send me down, like I get follower submissions with their own stories, but then sometimes I'll have people who will be like, hey, I'll go check out this motherfucker. Like the Drew guy who we ended up deep diving, finding all that game store. He was purchasing video games over hygiene and stuff for his kids and all that. Some of the ones you guys send me, I'm like, I end up down a rabbit hole, and I'm like, is this real? Is this person real? Like, there's no way this person exists. There's no way we're just sliding over the fact that they're pissing in public and stuff. Like, what? But they are. They're just out here at lolcows. It's so crazy because I feel like there are behaviors, and I don't just feel this way, I've seen it. There are certain behaviors that if you are conventionally attractive, you're considered just like cringy or whatever. And if you're not conventionally attractive and you do these exact same behaviors, you're the next lolcow. Shouldn't be that way. We should not be normalizing it to be doing these nasty, gross things and talking down to people and treating people like shit because of a follower account, or thinking that you're entitled to everything because of a follower account. Everybody should be treated the same. Does not matter what you look like. You should be treated the same on the same behaviors. Same with the gender stuff. Once again, with the pedophile stuff, I'm really tired of seeing that with there's so many female teachers. I've got a whole situation myself I'm dealing with a teacher posting some fucking bullshit. Yeah, she ain't gonna have a job for much longer. I'm waiting on one paper to come in the mail here in about a week and a half. So when I get back, then I have an appointment with the Texas Education Agency, because she decided not only to mock special needs children's disabilities, but also associated herself with some people who are on the sex offender registry. But we should be looking at it once again. If the genders are swapped and you would have a problem with it, then it should be a problem in general. Reminds me of that episode of Shameless. There's also a George Lopez episode where they're going after the sex offender, and then they find out it's a woman, and they're like, oh, never mind, it's fine. No, it's not fine. Pedophile is a pedophile. Both, doesn't matter gender, soulless pieces of shit. But let's get off the influencer plobs for a moment and get into a medical plob, because I had an ER nurse reach out to me this week with a follower submission. Why do people keep shoving shit up their ass? No matter how many PSAs we have, there's a whole guy, badge 502, has a whole count telling people, hey, stop putting stuff up your butt. I have a viral video that's made like 8 million views talking about stop putting stuff up your butt, yet they still do it. So this ER nurse reached out to me to let me know that she had a very unique patient a couple years ago. So if you guys, I feel like everybody knows what Pokemon Go is, right? Remember when they were trying to convince us that Chinese people were tracking us through Pokemon Go and we're going to raid America over it for Pokemon Go? And I'm like, okay. Anyways, during the Pokemon Go craze, if you worked at GameStop or any game store, you know this already, but there was these Pokeballs. And they would have a little wrist thing, and you would put it on your wrist, and you could basically as you walked around, it would catch Pokemon, but you could also you it for battles. But you wouldn't actually throw it; it would stay on your wrist because the hand. But just so you could have a little interaction, a little extra for your Pokemon Go. Well, a couple years ago, this ER nurse is working and has a guy come in, and there's one up his ass. Why? Why, sir? Apparently, he didn't want to have it on his wrist, and he thought it would be a fun way. The excuse he gave was, you get all these points for walking around with it on it without having to have the app open, and blah, blah, blah. Put it in your pocket, my guy. Why didn't you just put it in your pocket? What the fuck do you mean? You put it in your prison pocket. Why? Why would you do that? They ended up doing surgery because it got pretty far up there. Like, it was up there. It was up in his guts by the time he came in. Once again, you have pockets. Why? Why would you put it in your prison pocket instead? He was out here trying to catch Pokemon and all he caught was a medical bill. I'm sorry, but it is so frustrating seeing some of the stupidity. Because this was like a middle-aged man. She said that he was in his mid-30s. I just want to know how he made it this far in life with, like, how... Sometimes I see people do dumb stuff and I'm like, how are you still alive? Like, how have you not done something so dumb that you've passed away by accident? And that's not me trying to be an asshole, but, like, realistically, if you're doing this kind of shit... I don't want to know what other kind of shit you're doing. I'm scared to know your history. What the fuck? How are you still alive? Every time I get one of these ER story times, it also just my own experience too from when I worked in the ER. I go back to the hamster stuff. Or gerbils. Sorry, they were gerbils. If you don't know, back in like the 80s and 90s, possibly the 70s, we're not sure exact year that it started. This trend came about where men were sticking tubes in their butts and then sticking a gerbil inside of it to like tickle their prostate. I wish I was joking. This is a real thing. Like, people think it's a joke because South Park and Drawn Together and stuff have made some joking videos about, like, joking episodes, but this was a real issue that happened. There was also a celebrity who had supposedly went into an ER to get it removed. Then it was, like, debunked, but also there was a lot of stuff that didn't add up. He spent all this money on PR and whatnot to try to get it to shut down, and the rumors shut down, but then there was also some stuff that kind of made it seem like it was very much real and that he just, PR to debunk it. Either way, the point is, people with the bizarre shit up their ass, man. Why? It is 2025. There's sex stores all over the freaking place now. Just go buy a regular toy. There's no shame in it. You know where there is shame? Having to come into the ER and getting a Pokeball pulled out of your butt. Speaking of Pokemon, we have another GameStop horror story that was submitted related to Pokemon. So this one was from a game store owner. So he actually owns the game store. He owns a small game store and it's in a small town. And they sell large plushies of different Pokemon and stuff. And he said he's really picky with returns as is anyways. Like, unless it's like unopened, he really doesn't want to return it. But he did have, if it still has the tags, it's still unopened, it's not used or anything, he will, if it hasn't been that long, sometimes he will return stuff. But he had a guy come in, he said it was about 4 years ago when this happened. Guy comes in, and he had bought, the day before, he had bought an Eevee plushie. Why is it always Eevee? Leave my girl alone. I love Eevee, but some of these Eevee fans ruin it. I'm going as Vaporeon as one of the days of this con, and I'm like, God, I already know I'm going to attract the creeps. I do every single time I wear that cosplay, but at least it's a small con, so it's not going to be as many. Anyways, he has this guy come in, and the Eevee still does have tags on it. He starts inspecting this Eevee, though. It had a clearish white stain under the tail in the ass area. We all know what it was. I think we all know what the fuck that was. And the guy threw a fit, saying, it must have been milk or something. It was not milk. You can tell the difference in milk and that. And he apparently had to trespass the guy from the store because he would not leave. He was screaming about needing his refund and everything and literally would not leave the store. He was like, I'll do a trade-in for Vaporeon, or not Vaporeon, sorry, my brain. Sorry, it is Vaporeon. My brain is glitching. It's Espeon I will be this weekend, and I was thinking Vaporeon for the story you sent me. That's why I got it mixed up. But yes, for Espeon is the one that I will be doing this weekend, and Vaporeon is the one he was trying to trade for. So he's trying to trade for the Vaporeon stuff. He's like, just trade me. And the guy's like, no, this is fucking cum. You came on the ass of the Eevee plushie, and now you're trying to exchange it out just because you still have the tag. And the guy refused to leave, threw a temper tantrum in the middle of the store. He said he was stomping his feet and like knocking stuff off of the counter and stuff, just throwing a whole temper tantrum, and he had to get the guy trespassed by the cops. Why is it us regular fans will find, like, creators of anime and comics and stuff will create the most amazing art and characters and cute little animals and stuff, and there's always that plob. There's always that incel neckbeard Discord mod motherfucker who has to ruin it. I have like 3 Eevee plushies, and I can never look at them the same knowing these stories that I've been sending, because this is, if you've been around for a while, this isn't the first Eevee story that's been sent in. You know what is kind of funny is this weekend for one of the panels that I'm doing, I I'm going to be talking about Plobs and stuff like that, and cringe versus creep, like, because there is a difference. It's okay to be a little cringy and stuff. But there's a difference there's a line there between cringe and creep. And I'm actually going to be bringing a body pillow as a prop. Well, actually, I have a friend that's going to be bringing the body pillow. They work at the local game store, and we're borrowing it for part of this on, like, things not to do, which includes your body pillow. It's okay to have a body pillow for comfort. It's not okay to be fucking pillows and telling everybody about it and taking it in public. Because if you haven't seen, there have been men who have been kicked out of cons and asked to, like, put stuff up because they will bring in not safe for work hentai body pillows into the con. I wish I was joking. I'm not. Once again, it's one of those things where it's like, what's going through your head there, buddy? What's going through your head? There's apparently sites, too, that you can even get on certain sites. They will make the hentai body pillows, and they will have a little, it's like Velcro in the pussy area. So wherever the pussy is on the pillow, and you can open it up, and it's got a spot for you to put in a pocket pussy. Really think about that. That means people are doing this so much that there was a demand for the supply of body pillows made specifically for that. And the AI psychosis stuff is not helping these issues, by the way, because AI can be useful for certain things. I've talked about this, things like Alexa, like, oh gosh, now mine's going to go off. Sorry, I had to pause because, like I said, she thought I was talking to her. But, it can be used for things that are actually really helpful, especially if you're disabled or something. Like, we have them set up because post-surgery, especially after post-surgery, like, there are times where I'm like, oh, crap, I'm stuck wherever I am. I'm not able to get up because I've had a lot of procedures to help, injuries I got in the military. And so what's great about that is I can then, like, tell her, I'm going to call her because if I say her name, she's going to respond. And I'll be like, drop in down here, and it'll drop in whatever room that somebody else is in and be like, hey, come help me off the floor, please. It can be useful for so many things. Like, my kids love having it, like, tell them funny jokes and stuff, because we've got the parental settings. There is a way to make it so it's like, it's child safe and whatnot with the jokes, because, and technically Alexa can tell some little stuff that it's going to go over a kid's head. But there's ways AI can be useful. But we're seeing this trend of people doing horrific things with it. There was an interview with this guy who was on interview talking about how he was marrying his AI chatbot and how he proposed and all of this stuff. Like, full-on AI psychosis. Same with it's not just men, there are women too who are going into these character chatbots. There's entire ways to, like, I saw this video come up on my FYP, and it was like how to unlock the dirty stuff on some chatbot that, like, I guess it's got limits on it, so there was like a way to basically jailbreak it, which is wild to think about, because back in the day we used to jailbreak iPhones and stuff so that we could play apps without having to pay for them. And now people are jailbreaking so they can have AI girlfriends, which just adds to the problem of, people doing this out of loneliness, but it's going to end up making you more lonely, because when you go into psychosis, it's going to cause so many issues with you being able to date in real life. Also, when you're doing that with AI, you're basically controlling the response and everything. So of course the AI is going to be perfect, and then you're going to have these standards that are unrealistic for human dating. Now, I'm not saying go out with the walking red flag or anything like that, but I'm just saying, if you can control every single narrative, it's going to cause some issues. I actually did a video, and I believe I talked about this on here too, about my friend's son who was caught on the poly AI, and we did a deep dive of, like, all of the stuff he was on and how it was very concerning, and there was incestual stuff, there was animal stuff. It had very inappropriate, it had, like, full-on rape and all this stuff. It had some bad characters on there, and these are created by people, is the crazy part. So we learned that, so when you initially, like, go in, because I ended up downloading it just to check it out, right? When you initially go in, you are given, like, random characters or whatever, but once you start searching, that's when you find the dark shit. And then it's like an algorithm, basically. So once you've used a few of these dark chats that are, like, incestual or animals or something, there was one about this girl getting bred by a dog and all this shit. And when you do that, then it will start showing you more and more stuff like that. And you can find even darker, nastier stuff. And oh gosh, it was so bad. But there's also a point where if you click one of those chats, like we were going through, we click, and it will show you how many users are using it. And the dog breeding one, for example, had over 40,000 people using it worldwide. 40,000 people participated in a thing where it was like a 16-year-old girl, supposedly, an interactive AI with a 16-year-old girl fucking a dog. That's how disgusting some of this shit gets. And it's sad because, once again, there are things that AI can be useful for. Now, we should not be using it to have it steal jobs. Also, ChatGPT is not always accurate. AI overviews are not always accurate, because the way an AI overview works, and like ChatGPT and stuff, is it takes the consensus of a bunch of articles. So if you've had 10 articles with false information, even if it's been debunked, it sees those 10 articles and it takes that as fact rather than it getting debunked or whatever. It's an overview, just like an AI overview on Google. So it's not always accurate. But a tool that was meant to help people has now turned into, well, it's taking people's jobs, for one thing. There's companies that have lost a lot of revenue when people find out that they're hiring AI instead of an actual person, and it's bullshit. But it also, there's the AI psychosis side of it, and it's terrifying how deep these things are. There was one, oh my gosh, I can't remember how many messages it showed, because it also says like something about messages, like average user or something was on one of them, like, because that's not the only, there's so many chatbots. And they're not just apps, there's also websites, so that is something to look out for if you have kids, and you're like, oh, well, they don't have any of those apps. There's also websites we found. But people are forming these parasocial, like, AI psychosis relationships with these things. And it's terrifying. Like, there was that boy I've talked about, that one boy ended up taking his life because the AI convinced him to. You know, there are situations where I feel like most of these chat mods were originally intended just to, like, be silly. There was people who were, like, calling them on this one app, and it would have the voice of the character, and they were asking silly, funny questions and stuff just to be funny. But it has developed way past there. You know what is funny is I had made that video about poly AI and that deep dive I took for my friend's kid. Me and her, like, going through and finding all of his stuff and figuring out how it works so that, you know, she could get him help for the stuff that he was doing on there. And I posted a video. I did not post his personal information or his chats or anything, but I did share some of the chatbots to warn people, hey, this is the kind of stuff that's on there. It's not just like regular characters and stuff. There are people who are making these bots that are a lot darker and deeper than your, like, random anime character or something. And freaking Poly AI reached out to me offering me to do a creator ad for them, and I'm like, I just did a whole deep dive on how some of your bots are very concerning and aren't just like regular characters. And you're looking at that and go, yeah, let's offer this person money to make a video promoting us. Are you out of your fucking mind? Don't be wrong. It was $250, I think. It was like $200 or $250. Isn't bad. It would have been nice. It'd been a nice donation to the DV shelter, but no, I'm not promoting that bullshit. Because yes, there are people who are going to use just like the regular chatbot comfort, you know, do silly stuff. But the fact that they are allowing the, like, bestiality and incest and pedophilia and ones on there, and they're, like, just allowing those on there and not taking that stuff off, no. Speaking of, there is an ad. I'm going to be posting a clip of it on TikTok at some point this week. There is an ad where somebody made children playing with sex toys and thought it was funny and posted it with AI. Made it, and it looks like real children. It is very realistic. It's bad. And people were like, this is so funny to watch children play with sex toys and fake cum and blah, 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 even though it looks like real people. What the fuck? This is another example of why AI is getting to the point where it is super dangerous. It's not just regular stuff. It's not just like an assistant or anything anymore. It's nasty. It's harmful. You know how many pedophiles are jerking off to those videos? It's not funny. And it's causing the incel, plob, neckbeard stuff to get worse. Because now they have, like, access to crap that can make them all of this nasty, dirty stuff. Now they don't have a reason to leave their house. Now they can just make shit with AI and sit and shit their pants all day and piss in Gatorade bottles. Not to mention the fact that with how realistic it is, people could put faces of, like, regular kids, like real kids on that shit. It is terrifying. I apologize to have to end on such a depressing note, but since I still have to edit the intro and outro for the interview for the post on Thursday, I am going to have to end this just a few minutes early. But once again, we've got to do something. I don't even know what to do about it, because the plob incels, it is making the incel pipeline way worse with the AI psychosis and how disgusting some of these things are. Once again, like the fact that there was a video telling people how to jailbreak basically these AI chats, because some of them, so not poly AI, but other chats had actually put filters to make sure this shit didn't happen. But then you've also got chatbots like poly AI that are allowing the incest, the inbreeding, the freaking bestiality, the pedo shit. It's insane. Not to mention, like I said, the AI videos they're making. It is horrifying. But I'm going to go ahead and end here. Like I said, I apologize. It's about 10 minutes short. I've got editing for that to do before I have to leave town. I've also got goodie bags if you are going to be at Sue this weekend. Come find me. I have little treats. I will have treats at my little panel. Not food, but like little goodie bags. But I also have things specifically for my followers. If they find me, followers, mutuals, I have a little gift in my bag too. I also always keep my first aid kit. I keep a mini sewing kit. I keep extra mini deodorants or something. Like, there's no shame in coming and asking for a free deodorant. It's much better than stinking up the con, because you guys have seen that video of us literally having to sit outside of the panel room because of how bad it smelled in there. So please do not be ashamed to ask. I have mints and stuff on me too. And we'll end it there. As always, I am a Kindle and interchangeable accessories for their pleasure. And I will see you guys on Thursday, or if you're not interested in the interview, I'll see you guys next Monday.